Welcome, climate viewers. My name is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News with a completely drama-filled chemtrail discussion. So it's late in the evening on May 3rd, 2017, and I'm going to summarize basically my position on chemtrails and some of the shenanigans I've been witnessing. Because I believe that I have for far too long held my tongue, and I've done it repeatedly because I've been told, oh, the community, oh, it might look bad, it might divide people. And I'm going to start by saying one thing. I believe that all of this not saying how you really feel is really the problem. I really think that, the mood has really changed, not just because of, Trump and, the death of political correctness and all that, but yeah, I've always been this way. I don't feel like I'm being me if I'm not honest and just out there with everything I think about things. And the problem with the chemtrail community is there's not enough dialogue. That's the number one. Not enough dialogue. Everybody feels like, that we all need to agree. We need to kumbaya, shake hands, and agree on everything. I think that's bullshit too. So let's just get to the nuts and butts of what happened today. Let me get my little screen share up here, and I'm going to go ahead and throw this out here also, because I don't think a lot of you really know me. I'm not a chemtrail activist. I mean, I am a chemtrail activist, but that's not me. Like, that's not who I ever saw myself as. And I think a lot of people only know me as that. So first of all, for those who are just tuning in, or maybe you've just recently subscribed and you don't know me from a hole in the wall, you just thought my map was cool looking. I am Jim Lee from Sumter, South Carolina. I have a wife and 2 kids, and I take care of my grandmother with Alzheimer's, and we live happily here. I don't work for the Illuminati. I'm not a government show, and I can prove it. Want to know how? Well, I made a map. First of all, my website is ClimateViewer.com. You can go here and read all about my my blogging stuff. Here's 3 examples of articles I wrote: the CIA, weather warfare, and climate terrorism; ionospheric heaters and destroying the Van Allen belts; and 10 most radioactive places on Earth. If you go to the bottom of ClimateViewer.com, you're going to see my mug, recent posts, and all this stuff. But down here at the very bottom are several pages, which are topics that I cover. And as you can see, chemtrails is one of them. Geoengineering and weather modifications on a separate page. Ooh, well, that's interesting, isn't it? I suggest you look at both. HARP and the sky heaters. HARP is on a separate page. New World Order technocrats in the surveillance state. Nuclear reactor map tracking nuclear power and pollution. Propaganda, the news and activism about mind control with words and perception. Wi-Fi, cell phones, Wi-Fi, and EMF health effects. Now you kind of get a better idea of who Jim Lee is and what he's interested in. Not just a chemtrail guy. Throwing that out before I'm about to say all this shit about the chemtrail community. I am not just a chemtrail guy. Furthermore, I made a map. It's called ClimateViewer 3D. It's at climateviewer.org. On that map, you can see 440 nuclear reactors that this dork went and found in Google Earth. Not just a chemtrail activist. You can also see all of the, weather control, cloud seeding, electromagnetic. I've got the world's most accurate missile defense radar, ionospheric heater. Here's HARP. It'll fly your ass down to HARP and give you a tour. There's HARP on the satellite. And if you click on any of these links, you'll see that I am such a dork. I coded little web pages in each single dot. So you can read all about every instrument there is on the planet. I am the only guy to ever do it. That's me. I'm a mapper, and I talk about weather control. So again, not just a chemtrail guy, throwing it out there. ClimateViewer.org. That's my map. Finally, me and Dominic, a guy, I just met, recently. I really like him. We're working together on this beauty, where I took my information from my geoengineering page and my chemtrail page and my HARP page, combined them all into one page called weathermodificationhistory.com. And on it, you can see all of these news articles that Dominic has collected, from history, the people, the names and addresses of all the companies modifying the weather, the patents. My patent list has been featured on every single website on the internet, including geoengineeringwatch.org, where a copy of it is. And then programs, experiments, and all that sort of stuff. With my map, this links you to the weather control, my presentation on weaponizing weather, and 146 entries in a timeline that is the world's most accurate. Going from things to like Operation Popeye, the CIA killing crops in Cuba, the solar power satellite, bet you guys never heard of that, weapon, death ray, magnetospheric modification. Now you guys better understand who I am. I am about to talk about this, and you are better informed as to who the hell is about to say this crazy shit. So let's go to this post. The other day I did one on Patrick Roddy because he was supporting cloud seeding, which is confusing to say the least. But since we're not holding our tongue anymore, let's talk about this one. So Greg Palin, I got a heads up from Amanda saying that shit's going down for real over on this post. So the way I understand it, Troy Lessard, who seems like a good guy, we're friends, shared Global March Against Geoengineering's post, which has this poster, which my friend Dominic made. And on it, you can see it's got the names of the people speaking there, and I'm one of them, Jim Lee. Well, life got in the way, and I'm not going to be able to go. And I sorely wanted to be there because I think that my take on the chemtrail phenomenon is unique. And I think that I back it up with more evidence and credibility than anybody else on the planet. And I so mean it that, once again, I'm right here in chat. I'm going to go and post this link in here and say anybody that wants to come and join this conversation, you're welcome to. I have put it up in the chat room, so it's in the sidebar. All you guys got to do is click it. And if you got Hangouts, you can join the call. Please don't be rude. I will be rude right back. And I posted this also to Greg Palin so that everybody knows that I'm all's fair in love and war. I invited Greg Palin to be here tonight. He declined after much commentary. So let's go down here to the bottom. So basically, Greg Palin started in, talking trash about the upcoming chemtrail summit that's going to be in Oregon. And he was basically saying, why would Matt allow, questionable people to go there and ruin the whole damn thing for everybody? Maybe even run people off because, Madsen Star Moons, this or that. And I think that, really, and then here he is right here, Greg Palin. If you guys don't know him, he's former Congressman Greg Palin, who is also, a chemtrail activist. He made a calendar of people who are in the chemtrail community. Myself was not on it, and there was a whole lot of drama associated with that. I made a joke going, hey, I'm not on it. I are offended. And I put a picture of Rodney Dangerfield on there saying, I get no respect. And, there was a lot of hurt feelings that day. And Greg and I broke up. We were no longer friends. So just full disclosure, everybody knows our history. But this guy's over here basically trashing, not only the summit, he's trashing Amanda and, basically generally everybody. So I'm going to not, put words in his mouth. I'm just going to say what he said right here. Because I think that this quote really got me because I thought the quote was priceless. And for the guys in chat, I'll throw you this link so you guys can get in on the fun right now. Why not? There you go. There's the Facebook link if you guys want to read along. But let me blow it up for everybody who's watching on this tiny little screen. Let's see how big we can get it without Facebook screwing it all up. That's about as good as it's going to get, I think. Dominic, get that. I need to turn this off, huh? I don't even know how to work this Facebook crap. I need to turn that off. Hide sidebar. Bye-bye. Unfortunately, this is Greg Palin. We can't all be friends. Reality dictates that as activists, we must be discerning as to how the system is trying to distract us with nonsense and direct us towards impotence. How do we best reach the masses with limited resources? For $1,500, we can put up a billboard that will reach 1 million plus new sets of eyes. That is statistically significant. Quote, let me wet my whistle for this because I love this quote. A nation can survive its fools and even the ambitious, but cannot survive treason from within. An enemy at the gates is less formidable, for he is known and carries his banner openly. But the traitor moves amongst those within the gate freely, his sly whispers rustling through all the alleys, heard in the very halls of government itself. For the traitor appears not a traitor. He speaks in accents familiar to his victims, and he wears their face and their arguments. He appeals to the baseness that lies deep in the hearts of all men. He rots the soul of a nation. He works secretly and unknown in the night to undermine the pillars of the city. He infects the body politic so that it can no longer resist. A murderer is less to fear. Whoa. Right? Whoa. I love that shit. For me, that is brain food. That is the stuff I live for. Marcus Tullius Cicero. Now, Greg, I even like that. Hell, I like that on my phone. It unliked it. I'm going to re-like that shit. No, it was liked. In fact, I'm going to love it because I love that. So then Atlanta comes back, thanks, Greg, and stuff got real right about here. And Amanda started losing her shit and, things got realer. And of course, a whole lot of drama ensued. And Greg keeps posting this damn GoFundMe. Now, I just want to say for the record, it is tacky as fuck to go onto somebody else's thread to attack everybody in it and then beg for money. I'm just saying. He wants Greg Palin. This is his. Mr. Trump, when will you stop the spraying? Aircraft.org. Now, Rusty from aircraft.org is a friend of mine. I like Rusty, and I like aircraft.org. I don't like Greg Palin being a dickhole coming over here begging for money after disparaging everybody and dropping a Cicero quote. Super creepy, right? Super damn it creepy. So at this point, I'd like to point out what I pointed out to him. Let's go ahead and get that bad boy up there. So I'm going to skip everything else and get down to the nuts and bolts of what I said to him and why I'm making this video tonight. Because a whole lot of shit, you guys can see that a lot of drama was said here. So basically, he was saying, that there were people who were questionable going to this chemtrail summit and that was all shade. So I said, Greg Palin, are you talking about me, Amanda, or Dane? I have no clue. Because I see your mouth moving, but you're not saying a goddamn thing. Also, I'm not going to the event. Please remove my name from the list. Finally, Amanda went with me to the EPA hearing while you and your friends flamed me. I got Amanda's back to the end. And I put a link of the EPA hearing here. Talk about that in a second. We're all mad here, Amanda. All the best people are. P.S. I love Alana Freeland like a sister. Finally quit throwing shit at Matt Landman. At least he's actually doing some activism. Billboards don't have conversations. And apparently, based on the comments above from Jodie Foster, another person I adore, you're looking like the person referred to in your original quote, the divider in chief. So, and then I went and I saw this, and I don't even know what to say about this, but Greg Palin apparently does videos from his hot tub. Now, whoa. I mean, to each his own, maybe for some people this, is effective. I mean, this video's got 300 views. I don't know. It's got 300 views, one comment, and about as many likes as dislikes. I don't even know what to say about this video. I'm not going to talk about this video. I just found it super damn creepy. And, Greg, he's like, Jim Lee, funny, you should show up for the party. Remember that radio show you did where every other word was an F word? And you said, don't believe any of those bullshit YouTube videos that tells the chemtrails have anything to do with depopulation or mind control. And then you deleted the show. I deleted the show? Wait, Greg. I'm going to troll the fuck out of you tonight. I did not delete the show, Greg. It's right there. Dear Chemtrail Community, graphic, part 1 and part 2. Oh, wait, I made those private. They were private. I'm going to tell, full disclosure, I made them private. They're unprivate now. You pissed me off. Everybody enjoyed those 2 videos. I will drop those links in chat as well. Bookmark these for later. They are freaking hilarious. Oh, wait. An edit link. We don't want to edit link. That'd be just damn it weird. There we go. So we'll drop those in chat. Everybody can enjoy the lulls. Now, this was basically me going off on the chemtrail community, explaining to them how going around every damn day calling chemtrails geoengineering is actually covering for guys like David Keith and Ken Caldera who are trying to legalize geoengineering. Whoa, that is a video that I will make in the future. We really need to have that discussion. I just posted the same link twice, didn't I? I did. Let me give you the other one. Sorry about that, guys. Chat rooms, you got to love them, right? There you go. That's the other one. So the first one's really, part 1 is full of fire. I highly suggest it. So, Greg, that video you were talking about where I said all of it, not deleted. Anyway, he says, and then you deleted the show, but Jim, I can assure you that your obfuscation did not go unnoticed. That's fancy, right? You and I both know that chemtrails have everything to do with mind control and depopulation. And so you are deceiving the people and trying to guide their thinking. Jodie Foster was the person who was putting up the billboards for Bye Bye Blue Sky that were using SEO terms that led to geoengineering watch, like Google Climate Engineering. Google Climate Engineering. You may deceive most people most of the time, but you will not deceive all of the people all of the time. You see, no one has the balls to take you people on. And that's why you've gotten away with your bullshit. Amanda, please comment on the Illuminati Freemasonry rings that the big birdie told me you wear. So I want to sum up what this prick motherfucker is doing to the community, because I have had enough of not saying how I feel and watching this kind of stuff go on daily. Somebody's got to be the big boy in the room. This is called FUD. Write it down. Tell everybody in the chemtrail community. Tell them in every community. This is at ClimateViewer.com/propaganda. And this is another topic I talk about that I don't get to talk about enough. And the fucking gloves are off. I'm done with, sugarcoating it for anybody. Yoda said it best. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt is FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Dickheads like this create fear. They divide communities with them, and they leave you full of doubt. They don't give you any evidence to back up their claims, and they don't ever back it up. So the very next words out of my mouth, care to debate that? Live tonight in Google Hangouts, the hangout I'm in right now. I'm here. I double dog dare you. Come on, big boy. Show me how smart you are. Let's debate this. Because he says, you and I both know that chemtrails have everything to do with mind control and depopulation. Now, I've said this to Dane Wigington. I've said this to Russ Tanner. I've said this to the entire Kaku trolling community. Chemtrails are killing us. I simultaneously challenged them all. None will come. This prick running his mouth. Debate me. If your opinions and your belief systems are so strong, you come on this show, ClimateViewer TV, on my YouTube tonight and prove me wrong. In fact, this is an open invitation. Anybody, you want to come at me and you want to tell me how I'm wrong about this stuff, I will gladly accept your invitation. We will debate it in a public forum. I'll gladly have you on. Diane, welcome to the show. Do you have your microphone? Do you know how to work this thing? If not, I'm going to talk. So I debated, I double dog dared him to come, and I said, you can even do it from the hot tub. He can come on here in the hot tub with the video camera. I don't even give a damn. He says, Jim Lee, I don't know about you, but I have a job and an employee in ICU that I'm covering for. Work on your skills, and maybe I'll give you a shot at Tyson when my schedule permits. Until then, can you definitively state whether you made the above statement concerning chemtrails, depopulation, mind control for the folks at home? Now, at the very end of this long thread, which I'm going to go to the bottom, he said, again, right here, Jim Lee, you still haven't answered my question. And I said, I'll answer it live on YouTube shortly. Here I am. Here's your answer. I said it. In fact, I just unprivated the 2 videos. Go look at it. I have no shame about the stuff that I say. I say it. I choose very carefully what I say because I back it up with freaking evidence. I'm the only person in this community does bring it on. I mean, I'm just done with these shenanigans. So, of course, he declined to show up, calls himself Tyson. Here we are. And the link for this Google Hangouts right down here at the bottom. And I say, join the show. There it is. Anybody wants to join up and have an argument about it, fine, you're welcome to come. What I'm trying to say to you at this point is this. There's a lot of people with a lot of views. I do not agree with Amanda. Me and her are friends. When I went and made the EPA hearing happen, what evidence do you have for what makes up the content they are spraying? What evidence do I have? And then this other guy says, he says also, you at least owe him an apology then for saying you didn't delete it but made it private. I don't owe him an apology. Let's bring you in here. Ditch Your Box says, you at least owe him an apology then for saying you didn't delete it but made private, which to him would have looked like you deleted. Dude, what would it matter if I deleted it or made it private when it's my fucking video? I'm just curious. And what kind of victimized world do you think I owe him an apology for deleting or privating my video? I'm allowed to say whatever the hell I want up on this video, and that's what I'm going to do. I did make a big deal momentarily about it because it's funny. It's hilarious. Oh, because do you know how many people were so upset by that video? In fact, Suzanne Marr took the video personally to be about her. And she got raging mad, unfriended me, and hates me to this day because of that video. The video was about Dane Wigington. No shame, no shit. The whole video was about Dane Wigington. And what I did was what Greg did. That's why I'm saying this. What Greg did today was basically throw a shitload of shade over an entire event, generically hit up people without ever saying their name. And all I said to old Greggy Poo was, way the hell back up here, which he still ain't said. Greg, who are you talking about? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So is he an agent provocateur? I doubt it. Is he a paid shill? I doubt it. Is he a dumbass? Certainly. Is he dividing a community right now just because he's got his butt hurt and wants to sell a billboard? Certainly. Is he scared to back up his belief system? Certainly. I will gladly have anybody on here that can prove to me that chemtrails have anything to do with mind control or depopulation. Something credible. I'll gladly have it. But from a guy who spent 6 years doing it, researching harder than anybody I know, and I got all the freaking proof right here. You can come to you can click on Weather Modification History. You can go right here to Space Shit. That's what I be called. Click on Artificial Clouds and you can see the 100-year history. These photos aren't going to load with me streaming video and my wife watching Netflix. I'm in country, but we're talking this goes back to 1958 all the way to present, all about just chemtrails. This is just the chemtrail section, and I've got 100 more entries to put in this thing coming soon. Point being, I back my stuff up with credible facts. I research, and I'm not going to put shit on here that's speculation. Now that's perfectly fine for everybody else in the damn community. It's not fine for me. Not fine for me. So what I'm trying to say here is it's okay to disagree. You know what I mean? Like, there can be a community and we could still disagree. What I suggest for this community more than anything is debates. Because I don't think that people really are rationally thinking about a lot of this stuff, even how to deal with the problem, let alone what the problem is or, you know, what we could do about it. I think that that's really the nuts and bolts of this. Come on, let's have a debate. I don't give a damn who, you know, schedules it, you know, who benefits from the views. I don't give a shit. Somebody organize it. I'll be there, because I'll guarantee you that when I come there, I'm going to set up the discussion. I'm going to say, these are the things that I think that I want to talk about. And you can tell me I'm wrong. Please do. I'll give you the floor as long as you allow me to respond in kind. And we aren't doing a whole bunch of ad hominem. Attack ideas, not people. Attack ideas, not people. So that's my new goal going forward. I'm going to make a lot of videos, and I'm occasionally drop an ad hominem in there, because you know what? I'm human and I like to cuss. But my point is that the purpose of this discussion right now is to talk about why there's a problem. The problem with the community, why everybody hates on everybody. Now, you guys may know my position on this, you may not, but I'll clarify it one last time. When it comes to chemtrails, I believe that 90%, and 90% of statistics are made up on the spot. I believe that 90% of chemtrails come from commercial flights. That comes from observational data from Jim Lee over my house. Not from anybody else, because I can't, you know, track a plane from a video I watched. But for me personally, at first I was scared of all of it. I was scared for 2 years. I scared my wife. I scared people I worked with. Chemtrails are killing us. And then after I came down from that fear-induced high, I had to really figure it out. And then I came down some more, and I learned some more. And what I learned was there's a lot of clouds. They've been making them since 1958. I've got papers all the way back to 1958, entire Palm Springs sky covered in clouds. So, and then what I'm seeing over my house, Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines, boom, covering the sky. Dude, you know, there's so many people in this community who'll say it's just, you know, planes that can't be tracked. No, I also believe that the secret military programs do happen. I back this up with history, because in the spraying, the U.S. Army Chemical Corps spraying zinc cadmium sulfide, go to ClimateViewer.com. It was a conspiracy. All you gotta do, type it in. It was a conspiracy right here. I posted this in November of 2013. A lot of guys don't know this about me, because freaking, 3-4 years ago. Come on, you can do it. The Manhattan-Rochester Coalition research on the health effects of radioactive materials and tests on vulnerable populations without consent in St. Louis, 1945 to 1970. Now, this lady, and I always butcher her names, like Lisa Marie Martino Taylor or something like that. Let me see if I can find it in here. But she wrote a paper, and it talks about how people in a large organization participated in acts that they would never, ever do because of compartmentalization. And what they did was the U.S. Army Chemical Corps, in this study, I made this picture from a PDF. But it's not good. Oh, that's great. Let's just click it. No, that's not good either. Wonderful. You got to love it when they just screw you all up. You're like, well, so much for your picture. Oh, let's open image at a new tab. There you go. So this is where they sprayed, how much they sprayed. This is quantity of zinc cadmium sulfide in kilograms. And basically they sprayed it. Oklahoma, Texas, this is 1962, 59. It wasn't just St. Louis. Here's St. Louis, 63. And you can see maximum to constant, and then the concentration, approximate area affected square miles. This thing says 100,000. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Dew 1, Windsock. Some of these have names like Mate, Seltzer, White Horse, but all of these were where they sprayed Minneapolis, Dallas, Stanford, Stanford University. They sprayed Stanford University in 1947 with radioactive material. All of this, and this is the Subcommittee on Zinc Cadmium Sulfide Commission on Life Sciences Division of Earth, blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. So this was secret for 50 years. I just want that to sink in so that everybody in the chemtrail community that's waiting around to find the secret government fucking program, it took 50 years. So for me personally, even though I know more than likely, and I'm about 90% certain on this, the CIA is the one that's doing the clandestine geoengineering. It coincided with the CIA talking about Alan Robach. Let me get my ass back to the front page. The CIA talked to Alan Robach. If another country was geoengineering our environment, would we know? And Alan Robach said, yeah, I think we would. But the truth is we wouldn't. We have no way to tell the difference between planes making clouds, God making clouds, and Russia making clouds. You got that? So the CIA was doing something called Project Nile Blue in 1976. Come on, internet. This is the world's largest freaking article. I do all my own graphics. This is one of my personal favorites I did. Climate Warfare Report. And this was talking about the National Research Council, National Academy of Science, climate intervention reports that the CIA did. I was at the webinar live when this shit dropped, and they tried to rename geoengineering from climate engineering to climate intervention. But what also came out of this was the Alan Robach thing. And he says, I got a call from two men who said they work as A, and we'd like to know if some other country was controlling our climate, would we know it? And the CIA did the Nile Blue thing with the sugarcane and rain embargo on Cuba, where they used cloud seeding to stop rain from going to Cuba to kill their crops in 76. Same time as Project Popeye, Operation Popeye in Vietnam. The U.S. Air Force was doing weather modification in Vietnam. Now, everybody by now knows about Popeye. Nobody knows about the CIA, the sugar crops in Cuba. Then you put that together with the CIA asking about geoengineering here, funding a climate intervention study, funding a geoengineering study. Those white planes with no transponders, I will bet my left testicle are CIA. So now, am I a chemtrail believer? Am I a chemtard? Am I cool with everybody or not? Because I've been saying this for 6 freaking years. The problem is that gets us nowhere. And that is based on this shit right here. This has been secret for 50 years. If the CIA is geoengineering today, the assholes who decided to do it will not admit it till they're dead, because if they did, they'd probably be dead sooner. Does that make sense? That's why these things don't come out. So what are we going to do about that? What are you going to do about the CIA or the U.S. Air Force flying secret planes with no markings and no transponders geoengineering the planet? Because if any of you can figure that out, come your ass on this show right now and tell me. That's the problem with the chemtrail community. Nobody has a plan. So for me personally, and I've been caught hell for it for 6 years, I've said, call it pollution, call it clouds, call it plane farts, call it whatever the hell you want, but treat it with some kind of pragmatism. Find a way to deal with it that we can coalesce around, that we can do something about it. Because I don't want it to be another 30 years and me damn near dead when I find out, oh, we were right, it was a damn CIA. One day I'm going to be sitting on in a rocking chair, laughing my ass off about this conversation right now and hearing the CIA was geoengineering. Does it matter? Can we fix it? What will you do? FOIAs? Send FOIAs. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for the Air Force Research Lab. Ask them. Send FOIAs to China Lake, California, to the Naval Research Lab there, because they do. The Naval Research Lab did the Operation Popeye and the cold cloud seeding bombs. So Navy is in China Lake. That's where they do weather modification. Air Force, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Air Force Research Lab. And then finally, I guess, the CIA and any other three-letter agency you want to throw in there. And when you do a FOIA about geoengineering, climate engineering, and climate intervention. Albedo modification. That's the only thing you can do. And based on what I saw at the sunshineproject.org, there are still unanswered FOIAs about Operation Popeye from 1976. You guys don't know this. And I want to know this stuff. So that's my problem. They still have not made public the secret hearing that they had on Operation Popeye when Congress met the third time. I've got 2 of the transcripts when they met and talked about Operation Popeye and weather warfare. The third transcript is still secret to this fucking day. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So this is the problem. Do I believe there's a secret government program? You bet your sweet ass. They have got so much invested in this. There is no way they don't. And I can prove it by, you can put a man to death in Texas with enough circumstantial evidence. They will fry your ass dead in a seat with electricity. So we've got more than enough circumstantial evidence plus history to prove that, yes, there's a secret government program. And it's probably the damn CIA. And still, when I hear guys like obviously Greg Palin, Dane Wigington, saying that everything it's only secret. Ooh, only secret. They're all secret. My ass. Because then they let all of the commercial carriers off the hook, or they say that the commercial carriers have all been modified with pipes. This is cloud seeding. I'm not going to get into I'm done with my rant for tonight. I mean, obviously, Greg's not going to come. And Diane, I don't think you can figure out your microphone. I haven't heard you say a word. Nothing? Can I hear you? It's unfortunate. I really like Diane. So the point I'm trying to make to you guys is don't be scared to talk anymore. I want everybody to really just put your opinions out there. There's so many trolls and fake accounts out there that are trying to get you to shut up. Screw it. What do you have to lose? Have really good discussions about this stuff. Challenge the people that you listen to. Where do you get your evidence from? What do you base that on? Rain tests do not count. Throw that one out there too. Rain tests do not count. Why? Because the sky is full of mercury and all kind of other shit that come from all kind of other places. It doesn't all come from chemtrails. So if you get a drop of rain, it is just as likely that a paint plant near your house poisoned that rain sample as a chemtrail. I hate to break that to you, and I would love to just be able to tell you that all those rain samples really meant a lot, but they don't. You can't use them in a court of law. Why? Because they're contaminated. The guys in NASA who are flying behind planes testing chemtrails, they have to fly directly into that sumbitch and catch it in a wet sock. That's how redneck this stuff is. And even they say that their samples are contaminated with background stuff. Some of what you're seeing in the sky is chemtrails sticking to mercury or lead. Look up. Look up. Last little thought for the day, just so you know. Where was it? Leadline Clouds. Let's just put it in the thing. Leadline Clouds. I don't know why I'm not finding it right now. Getting other kinds of crap. But anyway, giant cloud. It's on my article. So the point I'm trying to make is there's never going to be one, especially in this chemtrail community. I wrote this thing, the Chemtrail Conspiracy Bombshell, Secret Agenda Explained. And this is something you can prove in a court of law. You can prove it. This is what's going on today. I can't prove whether the secret program started in 1965 or 70 or 80, any of that, but I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that from 2010 on, there's something new going on. And it involves fuel sulfur content doping and biofuels. And I can prove this in a court of law. I can prove this in any debate, and I will win. And Dr. Ringside Health Authority from the FAA apparently agrees with me. Leadline Clouds is right here. Open a new tab. Because apparently Google didn't want to give it to me. What a bunch of pricks. I'm using your damn Hangouts. You could have thrown me a freaking bone. Oh, the article was deleted. That's right. But I put everything on archive.org. So there's my little backup. Leadline Clouds right here. And you can see that this is where I got it from. And it says this ice crystal collected from a cloud at Switzerland's something research station contains lead dispersed from human activities. And this lead is actually a great cloud condensation nuclei. They're actually, in the history of weather modification and cloud seeding, there are people who used lead iodide, not silver iodide, lead iodide. Just saying. So not everything is just water vapor, aluminum, and barium. Throw in mercury, throw in titanium, throw in calcium. I could go on for an hour. But the point I'm trying to make to you is all the FOIAs point to it. The Owning the Weather talks about carbon black dust. The military says we use carbon black dust to increase cirrus cloud cover. We make clouds with carbon black dust. It's the military from a FOIA. Here's Gray et al. 76. We use carbon black dust to steer hurricanes. Here's the Hurricane Modification Workshop, Department of Homeland Security. We use carbon black dust to steer hurricanes. That's from 76 to 2008. Same damn thing. We use carbon black aerosol and carbon black dust to steer hurricanes. This is the EPA hearing I went to. And after the EPA hearing, for those who don't know, I'll end with this. Here's what happened as a result of the EPA hearing. Breaking EPA to limit greenhouse gases from airplanes. So they decided they were going to stop CO2, nitrous oxide, and stupid ass greenhouse gases coming from planes. They were going to ignore clouds altogether, which we expected, right? This was about getting our views on the record, not about making the EPA bend. But wait for it. Not even 7 days later, White House releases federal alternative jet fuel research and development strategy. Alternative jet fuel means biofuel. Put them together. Alternative jet fuel, alt fuels are biofuels. September 2016, China, US, and Europe pledge support for global aviation emissions pact. September, Greens move to dismiss EPA lawsuit over airplane emissions. So what happened? This hearing wasn't supposed to happen. I'm the only person who signed up to go to it. They had the hearing because of me. I went there and I identified myself as a citizen. Everybody else who went identified themselves as either their handle, like Madison Star Moon, or I'm Patrick Roddy from Stop Spraying Us. They would name their website. I was a citizen. I came. I said I was Jim Lee, citizen. Did not mention any of my websites. That means that I'm actually a party to this thing. They have to give me legally. They have to give me a response. I'm the only one. Big surprise. I was told this by a lawyer who was like so proud of me for going in and say Jim Lee, citizen. Won't get too deep into that. Regardless, they owed me a response. So what did they do? The White House said, let's use biofuels to deal with this emissions issue. And by the way, biofuels will be used for contrail control. Europe, China, and the US agreed real fast. Yeah, that's what we'll do by 2020. Let's put it off. But at least by 2020, we'll start using the biofuels. Everything will be great. Then they canceled the freaking lawsuit because otherwise the EPA would have had to go ahead and write the laws and do all this stuff. So basically, I got them to throw out writing stupid laws about CO2. You can't twist this any other way. And since this has happened, Jasper Kirkby and the cloud stuff has been accepted. Svensmark's been, exonerated. And the stuff I said in 2015 about clouds, whoa, I have had chemical engineers email me going, dude, you were so ahead of the times on that. So that's what happened with it. They threw it out. They wrote their own laws, and they agreed to use biofuels to take care of all these chemtrails. I can prove all this, and you've never heard it on any other website. Options for dispersing gases from plate include addition of sulfur to the jet fuel. Less warming, more cooling contrails predictable for operational planning, said by Ulrich Schumann 2010 to the ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is a UN body, which came up with this contrail. Schumann came up with the contrail cirrus simulation and prediction tool to program to plot where all the clouds are going to be. And if the clouds they're going to make are going to heat the planet, they want them to go away. If they're going to cool the planet, they want them to stay. The reason why: carbon credits, carbon taxes. Period. Applying high fuel sulfur content at aviation cruise altitude combined with ultra low sulfur jet fuel at lower altitude reduced aviation-induced mortality around airports. It killed less people around airports and cooled the planet compared to baseline aviation scenario. And here is the people testing that at the alternative fuel effects on contrails and cruise emissions, where they're burning the biofuels. They're going to see if these clouds stick around, persist, whatever. Do they cool the planet or do they heat the planet? Let's fly in the chemtrail. That's what it looks like. Flying in the chemtrail, lots of turbulence. Boom. Crazy stuff. I interviewed the doctor who's testing these fuels for contrail control. So my point is, nobody's talking about any of this stuff. Nobody's talking about this stuff. And I want more discussion. That's all I'm asking. And I want people to stop coming around, acting like they're big shit, calling themselves Mike Tyson while hanging out in a fucking hot tub. I expect better out of the educators in this community. If you cannot do it, if you can't back up the stuff you're saying, if you're running around talking about how fucking smart you are, expect videos like this, because it's beyond tacky. It's time for people to really grow up. Now, that being said, I hope that when Dominic, who's going to be going. Dominic's right here. Shout out, much love to my homie. This is going to be going to the Chemtrail Summit in Oregon. I hope that you all will tune into it. I hope that you will support Matt Lamon. I don't give a damn what anybody says about that. Now, I just chewed Patrick Roddy out a couple days ago over a cloud seeding thing. I hope that Patrick does well. I hope that Matt's event is eventful, and I hope that it reaches a lot of people. I don't agree with Patrick on everything. I don't agree with Amanda on everything. And I think that that's okay. And I think that we will be okay if people start to understand that we will have opposing views. We will have little spats, but disparaging people and then not being willing to really discuss why, or just calling them all shills, that stuff, just grow up. We're over that. We need to move on. Dominic's going to show you how it's done, though. I have every confidence that my homeboy is going to go up to Oregon and blow your guys' freaking minds. So please tune in to the summit. See what Dominic has to say about this. He's going to talk about weather modification history and what we're trying to do over here. And I think that it's unique because this website is what I'm saying, that for once in the discussion about HARP, geoengineering, weather modification, cloud ionizers, nobody talks about those. In this world, I want one source that doesn't have a bunch of bullshit on it. And it's just the facts. Because you can't argue with the facts, especially when they're well referenced. So that's what I'm doing here. And I hope that you guys will support it. And I hope you'll keep me honest. You don't believe what I got to say? You think I'm wrong? You think I put some bullshit up here on the timeline? Come show me. Back it up with some evidence. I will change it. You can ask people about me. I'm not always right, and I'm okay with that too. I think I've said enough of my nuggets of wisdom on this whole chemtrail community that just seems to be rotting, and it's because of people's expectations. I fully believe that. Okay, so now that I completely abandoned the chat, I'm check that thing out real quick. All right, 25 years of chaff. Okay, it's from 2002 report. Tell me something I don't know. Chaff has nothing to do with this. Finally, dust. Blue skies are not common anymore. I agree with that. Let's see, in degrees. All right. Don't know what's going on. I have to guess. However, fighting climate change, even though say already been spraying. Yes, they have already been spraying aerosol since 1958. It's called cloud seeding. Cloud seed. The thing about chemtrails that pisses me off is everybody says it's just water vapor, and the other guys say, no, it's all chemicals. It is both. Grow up. It is chemicals sticking to water vapor. Now, what should be happening, like we all know, is you are on TV. What should be happening is when the water sticks to the chemicals, it melts, it sublimates, it goes away. We all know this. So the only question really is, what is making them stick around? And it happens to be what's at the center. And that is called a seed, a cloud seed, an aerosol, a speck of dirt like soot, carbon black dust, carbon black aerosol. It can be aluminum. It can be barium. Barium is in chemtrails. The amount unknown. No credible source has ever done a test that I've seen, because I wouldn't trust them. And no credible tests have been done on aluminum that I've seen. The IPCC quotes tests from estimates from 1975. So really, there's been no randomized testing. But yes, aluminum, barium, titanium, calcium, and a whole bunch of other shit are coming out of the back of the plane. So the point I'm trying to make to you is, these are seeds. They come from the plane. It's in the fuel. Jet biofuel enlisted for contrail control. Google. Links right there. Trying to go down here past all my corny little things, and then we'll go here. So the point I'm trying to make about this cloud seeding thing, water is going to stick to whatever comes out of the back of that plane. And the problem we have is that people have been doing this for so long that, everybody's just, paranoid that it's got to be a pipe, it's got to be a pump or something like this. But I'm just going to throw this one out there for you. And this is why I say what I say. This is fuel. This is what's in just the jet fuel. No additives. Russ frickin' Tanner, no additives, just the fuel. Aluminum in Jet A, non-determined, non-detected. I don't believe that for a fucking minute. JP5, this is gasoline-based fuel. 2,144 parts per billion. JP8, oil-based, kerosene-based fuel. Diesel fuel. Almost every plane on the planet switched from gasoline to diesel between 1998 1988 and 1996. It was called the NATO single fuel concept. Every NATO country switched from gas to diesel fuel in their planes. Can you imagine what that did to the planes in the sky? That's when the chemtrail word was first used on the internet. And the first article about chemtrails was about JP8. A coincidence? I think not. JP8 has 3 times the aluminum of the gasoline. It also has several times the strontium of the gasoline. JP5 has 70 parts per billion. JP8 has 351. Sulfur, 450. JP8, 1690. Titanium, 35 in gasoline. 1,056 in diesel fuel, JP8. Jet A is also diesel fuel. You can see it over here, 100 on this test sample. Sulfur, they were almost identical. These can be all over the place. And the reason why I say this, these are laboratory samples. So just in this perfect specimen that was sent to the Air Force Research Lab at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to test it, coincidence? I think not. When they sent these fuels to the lab, somebody tested it in a lab, and the people who sent it knew that it was going to be tested. You get where I'm going with this. So if there's that much aluminum, strontium, and titanium, barium's right here. You guys might have missed it. It says 3, 9, and 38. It's not a lot. But in this sample, tiny amounts of barium, naturally occurring, comes from fuel. Out of the ground, the oil. The barium's already in it. The aluminum's already in it. And they add aluminum to it. So what do you guys got to say about that? You can't just throw this shit out because you get me? You want to believe that it's all pipes or all pumps. It's all this. No, there's never going to be one answer that covers all of it. So what I'm telling you is this, based on all the evidence I see, there's a shitload of pollution, comes from jet fuel. There are companies and corporations in the China, US, and Europe who've agreed to use biofuels to control the clouds they're making. The FAA scientists I just interviewed said we want to make clouds by day, none by night, which is certainly interesting. So if you put it all together, they're actively modifying the sky with contrails too. And nobody wants to deal with that. So I'm willing to debate this with anybody. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to really talk about this crap. But I want people to be open to the discussion. And I want enough of this, poofling. Oh, he's a shill. She's a shill. If I'm a shill, why do I have the world's only NSA map? I mean, really, if I'm a shill, who goes and puts, the Five Eyes, Joint Defense State, all this, this is all NSA, GCHQ, all mapped out. Or it just doesn't make sense. Like that people throw around all this shill shit and all the stuff that they say, and they don't know anybody. I don't know any of these guys. I don't know Greg Palin that well. But what I'm saying is, don't let people divide you with FUD. FUD is bad. Fear is the mind killer. It is the way they divide you. It is the way they do all of this shit. It's all about fear porn, using words to control you. So don't let people control you. And I really wish that Greg had come on here, because I would love to pick his brain about why he thinks it's all mind control and depopulation. I think that is a very jaded way to sell billboards. Yeah. Jaded way to sell billboards. So, man, another one bites the dust. I think I'm done ranting for an evening. And I hope that you guys learned a lot from this. I will be doing more videos like this as they need to occur. And I hope that you guys will check out my stuff, obviously. And I love you, mean it. So with that being said, and just so I say this at the end of all my videos, I had somebody actually go, man, that's really sad. I say a quote from Dr. Seuss. And what it's basically saying is, if you've ever seen the Whoville book, until the last Who in Whoville raised their voice, nothing mattered. So unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. Love you, mean it. Check out ClimateViewer.com, ClimateViewer.org, WeatherModificationHistory.com, and we'll keep trucking.